Hello, my name is Sky with Smart Poker Study. In this video, I'm going to help you select profitable tables to play on. The idea for this came from a listener named Ben W, and he said, "What do you look for when choosing a table to play on?" Nice and simple question, and I've got a simple answer for you, Ben, and for everyone else. Let's get to it. All right, so what is the goal of a table selection? Well, you want to choose tables with a high profit potential. Your goal in poker is to make money, right? The more money you make, the longer you can stay around in this game. It's not costing you money from your life roll. So you want high profit potential tables. In order to do that, you've got to play with as many mistake makers as possible. You want to find the tables full of weak mistake-making players. First off are the fish, the whales, the calling stations. Those are three different names for the basic same type of player, which is a loose and passive player. Loose means they play far too many hands and they just love seeing flops, right? They get to the flop with 10-8 offsuit and a Jack-4 suited and King-9 off, stuff like that, right? Passive means that they do a lot of calling and checking instead of betting and raising. The other types of mistake makers are the lags, or the loose aggressive players. Some monikers for those are donks or maniacs, you might hear them referred to as. Now, once again, these players are loose, but instead of passive, they're aggressive. They're doing lots of bets and raises in order to try to take value from you, but also to push you off of your hands. Sometimes they spew chips at the pot in bad bluffing attempts. Now, the last type of players you want at your table are nits. These are just overly tight players. Maybe they only play the top 10% of hands. And when they show aggression, that means they have a strong hand, right? So it's really easy to fold and just get out of their way. Or if you have the nuts, re-aggress against them to earn extra value, right? So those are the mistake makers that you want at your tables. You do want to avoid winning regular players. They're often tight aggressive or loose aggressive players. These are the ones that you know try to take advantage of your tendencies. They try to exploit you. They seem to be making lots of good value bets and good strong raises and bets post-flop, as well as they're able to avoid paying people off, so they fold when the time is right. They seem to, at least. You especially want to avoid these players on your left. The winning regs and the lags, the donks, the maniacs, right? There are ways to exploit regular players and lags and donks and maniacs, but if they're on your left, all of that aggression that that is their natural tendency, it really makes poker playing difficult when constant three-betters are on your left, or people that raise your c-bets are on the left, or as soon as you ISO raise a limper, somebody limps in, you make it 6 big blinds. They come over the top because they know you do this with a wide range. They come over the top with an 18 big blind 3-bet. And then you miss out on your opportunity to isolate that weak player because they're isolating you who has a weak range as well. So avoid those players on your left. All right, so let's take a look at two extreme examples of good and bad tables. The first one right here. Well, taking a look, this is a full ring table. Let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fish. You can see there's a big gap between VPIP and PFR, and I color code them green. 5 good players to play against. This one right here, a short stacker. Sure, he's looking like a nit, like this player, which I color code as red. Nit, overly tight players are red. But, he's a short stacker. He started with only 40 big blinds. That means there's a very good chance that he's a weaker player in general. Now, this player, only 3 hands, started probably with 100 big blinds. Don't know anything about him. They could turn out to be the most loose, aggressive player at the table. But that's not the worst thing in the world because we are across the table from them. We have position most of the time against them, and they have position some of the time against us. Now, over here, we have a nit player. Not too bad. When he comes into the pot, it's pretty easy for us to fold all of our trash hands, right? Because he's only entering with good hands. This is probably one of the best tables that you could play at. Tons of profit potential here. So I give it a smiley face. Now the next table, let's take a look at this one. 6 max table. We've got 1, 2, 3 orange colored loose aggressive players 29, 23, 24, 24, 33, 21, 3-bet at 9%, 20%, 9%. Sure, it's only 34 hands, but he's looking like a pretty loose aggressive player. And one of the worst things, we have a full stacked lag who loves to 3-bet on our direct left. Not a great situation to be in. And these other 2 players, the yellow color coding stands for tight aggressive. Now, tight aggressive players are not bad opponents to have. but there's a good chance that they could be winning players at this stake. So we've got 3 lags, 2 potential winning players. This is not a happy face table. I would much prefer this table over this one 100% of the time. Now, these are 2 extremes right here. Most of your tables will land somewhere between these 2. And let's take a look at some of those. Now, this table right here, let's just count up the green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green players and 1, 2, 3 yellows. This is actually a pretty decent table. Nobody who does a lot of 3-betting has direct position on us. They do, place a lot of c-bets, but that's totally fine. We can think about that before we enter a pot against these players when they're the raiser, before we choose to call. So this is a pretty darn nice table to be on. This one right over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loose passive players, 2 lags. But the good thing about this table is they are on our direct right. This player folds to 3-bets quite often. So when they come in for an open raise, or if they isolate any of these limpers, we have a good opportunity to come in for an in-position 3-bet against them, get them to fold, and potentially pick up some good dead money from limpers right here. Now this table, a 6 max one. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 loose passive green color-coded people, which is pretty darn nice. It's kind of a bummer that we have a frequent 3-better, loose aggressive player who doesn't like to fold the steals to our left. So it's not the worst situation in the world. I would much rather this player be right here or right here on us. But this is not a bad table to play on. And lastly, this one over here, well, 1 tight aggressive, 2 loose aggressives, at least they're on our right. But this player folds a lot to steals, so when we are in the cutoff and the button, we have a pretty good stealing opportunity, right? He's going to fold quite often and possibly just give us a heads-up opportunity versus one of these 2 loose passive blinds as well. When he's the button, we open raise, he's probably going to fold quite often, and bam, we isolate these players with the best position. All right, so here's a little take action. I want you to periodically assess each table's profit potential. But before we get to your task, I want you to please like and leave a comment and subscribe to my channel if you found any value at all in this video. All right, so set a recurring 10-minute timer. It's also called a Tabata timer if you'd like on your smartphone. Each time it goes off, look at each table that you're at. Whether you're 1 tabling or 8 tabling, ask yourself, is this a profitable table? Because the table might have been profitable at the start of your session, but 5 rounds in, 2 of the fish left, 2 loose aggressive players came in, and maybe they were the ones on your direct left, and you didn't realize it at the time, but now the table went from profitable to not so profitable. If the answer to this question is yes, great, just stay there and keep playing. If no, get off and find a new table. And an interesting idea, some of you are, you play at 10 NL maybe, and that's the only stake you play at. You left 5 NL a long time ago, you don't want to go back there. But when you start your session and you can't find any good tables at 10 NL to play on, it's totally fine to drop back down to 5 NL. Find some of those loose, passive, fishy, profit-laden tables and jump on those instead. Of course, you want the best profit potential always, and you do want to make as much money as possible. But if all the tables at 10 NL are looking ugly, go to a lower stake and see if you can't find some more profitable lower stake ones. Alrighty, now it's time for you to take action and make better table selection decisions. I'll see you on the felt.